Hello, everybody. I'm so happy you could join us for this webinar. Now, I know most of you have worked or used an Office product before, I'm sure in the past. Maybe it's been Word or Excel or PowerPoint, and we all know it's existed for almost 20 years now, and so there's been many iterations of these products. But and there has been Office as well, like Office 2008 and 2010, but what's really interesting, and I'm happy you're here to sort of dive into Office 365, is that Microsoft's really sort of taken a different view of its tools and its applications. And instead of just packaging a bunch of software together like it has in the past, Office 365 really integrates all these different features together. And as we dive in, I think you're going to see that Microsoft's definitely taken the lens of small and medium business owners and how you could sort of leverage these tools and really have the capabilities of potentially a larger business with a lot more money at its disposal. So let's find out what sort of drove these changes. Now, we know the world is working differently, and as technology becomes more rampant, people are just doing business differently. So let's just look at some of the stats. Like last year, 50% of business email users relied primarily using a tablet or another mobile device to do their business. That's 50% of people not really working on a laptop or a desktop computer. They're predicting by 2018, 3.5 million small and medium business owners will use instant collaboration applications, and 2.5 million will use web conferencing. And thinking about that, 71% of small and medium business owners believe that mobile apps will replace all solutions in the future. So basically almost 75%. So not only is the world changing, people's perception that the world is changing is going along with it. So with this change, obviously their expectations are changing. So with this in mind, this really sort of put Microsoft in a position where they're like, how can we enhance our Office and our Office suite and our various software packages in a way that can really support where business is going in the future? And so as we dive in, what you're going to see is that Microsoft put together this package that's cloud-based. It's integrated all their tools together, and it has tremendous amount of features and benefits beyond just the typical Word documentation or a spreadsheet. So let's jump in and see what this is all about. So as Microsoft started developing Office 365, they kind of had a mantra of how they were going to look at this application again. So part of this was sort of the mantra of worrying less. So they really wanted users to really not have to worry about security. They wanted people to know that as they use their information, whether it was in an email or whether it was on a SharePoint site, that everything was secure as information traveled to and from other people. And part of how they address this is by changing it from having these local servers that small and medium businesses often had in the past, and moving everything to be cloud-based, and really putting the ownership on Microsoft to provide that security on their servers instead. And as part of that part of that cloud-based working, it allows virtual collaboration. So you'll see that people can actually access these different applications on their phone, on their tablet, on their laptop, at the coffee shop, at the doctor's office. And as part of that, it allows them to make it easier to collaborate with others. So now that everything is available on the cloud, not only can I access it, I can provide permissions to allow my coworker to access or my customer to access it. So these were the sort of three mantras, and you'll see as we go through all the various features and benefits that really sort of are the umbrella to which Office 365 was put together. So let's go into a little bit more of the specifics around the worry less or the security aspect. So part of what it provides, the Office 365, it provides mobile device management. It also provides data loss prevention and rights management services so that you can decide who sees what information. And it also allows you access to see timestamping and exactly who's accessing your information. You also have the ability to have 24/7 real-time support. So as part of putting, again, this onus on security and the servers on Microsoft, now it's no longer in your office that you have to deal with a server going down and you losing all your emails for your business. Now everything's on the cloud, and so if there are any issues, you can call the 24/7 support and get someone else to help deal with this. And again, because it's usually backed up many times over, the likelihood of you losing all your information and that risk to your business is not there. As well, another part of it, and we'll get into a little bit later, that really cool for companies that have sort of compliance or legal requirements. There's a lot of back-end tools that really can help with sort of, there's compliance, like if you require emails to be archived for certain periods of time or documents. So there's ways to sort of automate that in one click. So we'll dive into that a little bit later. So let's look at the working the way you want to and working from anywhere aspect. So again, because everything is on the cloud, you can access it across all these different devices. And Microsoft's really made an effort to make the experience of using these various applications, Word, Excel, whatever it is, whether it's on your tablet, your phone, or your desktop, pretty seamless, so that you're having the same experience. But they've also added some additional features because they understand that when people are on their tablet, they may not be typing, they might be using a pen. So you'll see as we go into it, they've implemented a lot of features to help maximize the use of this various technologies, like a pen or using your fingers for swiping, that type of thing. And as well, because everything is in one place and it's all being backed up, we don't have this issue about documents being altered or being lost or security aspects, that type of thing. And then we talk about the collaboration. Again, having everything on the cloud really makes it easy to share this information with who you want to, when you want to. So there can be basic collaboration where you set certain permissions up for people to see certain documents. And there's also some tools and features you'll see that are much more complex, where you can create groupings for projects and share various documents, emails, and calendars. There's also other features like the ability to join and host meetings from any device. And you also will have the ability to support your teams by making sure that they have all the information they need that's up to date. So again, by people going up into the server or into the cloud and accessing documents real time, you can make sure that they're getting exactly the same documents across various locations. So as I said, just to recap, Microsoft really looked at Office 360 in a way that they really wanted you to worry less, work easier, and work together more collaboratively. So let's jump into the actual specifics of Office 365. Now, most people, this is what people are familiar with when it comes to Office. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and for some people, more expanded versions included Outlook, possibly Publisher. Now, some of you may not be familiar with OneNote. I'll go into that a little bit more a little later. But in some packages, people did have OneNote as well. So this was a sort of standard package, and this does still exist as part of Office 365. What's cool is that Microsoft has integrated these a lot better, so that as you copy information, say a spreadsheet from Excel into PowerPoint, the transition and the information transitions much nicely, or that's not good English, much better. As well as if, for example, in your PowerPoint slide, if you changed your spreadsheet, the actual information, you can tie the information together so that it would update the graph in your PowerPoint automatically as you change the data. So stuff like that really integrates all these software packages together. And in working with them, I have found, because I work very strongly in PowerPoint, I work in Word a lot, and I work in Publisher, I have noticed that they've added sort of very high-end features that you generally have seen more in higher designing program and applications, or sort of publishing, like InDesign for Word. So the ability to create templates for flyers and business documents, they've really sort of upped the game and added a lot more functionality there. So let's jump in. So this stuff we already know, and again, like I said, they've really enhanced this, but I think what's really cool is then what they've added to that standard sort of Office package as we know it. Clients with a larger organization might be familiar with Exchange. So Exchange is Microsoft's sort of back-end email server. Now, they've again integrated this as part of the whole Office package. So when you purchase Office 365, you get access to the Exchange Online. And part of this allows you to get 50 gigs of mailbox storage. And again, because they're recognizing that as a business, you just deal with a lot of email. It is what it is. And one of the biggest complaints they heard from from business owners is the fact that their email boxes would constantly get full. And we all know what happens when we're trying to send emails to people where their email boxes are full and stuff gets bounced back. And this, in particular, as the person with the full email here, you're just trying to like manage it, and it becomes quite a mountain. So it's great that they've sort of recognized that having more storage can help minimize that problem. And we'll go into a little later about some of the other tools, though, to maybe minimize the large documents that maybe are being sent through email that maybe could be used through other applications. Now, they also, as part of Office 365, recognize that you need a place to store your documents. And again, most people in the past would store it on your actual local laptop or desktop, or possibly in your office you may have a server and some shared drives that you would go and share and put those documents in there for others to access. So OneDrive sort of takes that all away and puts it basically in the cloud again, and just again adds to the security of it, because it's all up there being taken care of by Microsoft Security, but it's also in one place. So the nice thing about that is if, again, you're working on your laptop at work with your Word document and you save it to your OneDrive, and then you're at home and you decide to look at it on your tablet, or you happen to be at the coffee shop and you wanted to pull it up on your phone, the nice thing about having this OneDrive is that that document is accessible anywhere on any device that you log into that has a Microsoft Microsoft sign-in. So yeah, we'll jump into that one. Next, we'll go into Skype. Most people are familiar with Skype. It's a video conferencing, web conferencing program. What's cool, again, is now Microsoft has partnered with Skype, and I think they actually bought the Skype, but so now that they're combined, there's a lot more integration. So you'll see in Outlook and other applications that you can actually just click like Skype as part of an option. And also within Skype as well, there's a lot more options to actually pull up documents and that type of thing. So it's just great that they've, again, taken a great business tool that they've recognized globally that people really like Skype and how it works, and sort of put it into this package, and as part of this whole unit price that you get per every seat that you buy of Office 365, you get this application as well, which is great. Now we also have SharePoint Online. Now you may or may not be familiar with SharePoint. SharePoint is a content management system that Microsoft has had for many, many years. I found it in the past, it's generally operated as its own sort of thing. Many companies have used it for intranets, again, for content management, data management, knowledge warehousing, that type of thing, document warehousing. But it's always sort of existed at its own kind of separate thing. And what I love is the fact that now Microsoft has sort of recognized its strengths of SharePoint and brought it into the fold. So again, it can work much more seamlessly with all the other aspects of Office, both the documents, the Word, the PowerPoint, and that kind of thing, but also the collaboration. So as actually adding people within the network, and adding permissions. So again, you can, as a small or medium business, you can leverage this tool again to house your documents, to create an intranet, to share things with your employees, to share things with vendors, suppliers, that kind of thing. So again, lots of features there, but what I have seen, and you'll see with some of these tools, is that some of them may be stronger depending on, again, what your purpose and your objective is. So SharePoint has a much more document housing capability, whereas you'll see as we look at some of the other features, there are other sort of collaborating document sharing applications, but maybe might be more transient for more of a project. So let's jump into that. And sorry, before we get into those additional features, one other element that Microsoft has sort of added into the Office 365 fold is Yammer. So Yammer is a well-known texting application, but again, by bringing it in, they've really sort of looked at it from a business perspective. So they've allowed, and they've recognized people like to like to text more than they like to email. So but they've now added it so that you can actually create like a team chat room. And so it's very quickly for people to send text back and forth. And this is really great. So think about your business right now. If you're think if you're doing constant little emails back and forth to check on people, think about, maybe by having this in Yammer, you could sort of minimize that email, and you can actually very quickly see this chain of text, and other people could see it as well. Now, again, the nice thing about it is all integrated. So you'll see as we look at some of the additional features, there are ways to actually take this Yammer conversation and bring it in to other applications. So it doesn't exist all on its own. So with that in mind, let's jump into those additional features, because I really think this is where, not to say that the other features weren't great, but I really think that Microsoft has sort of taken it up a notch and really thought about how do we really enhance the experience and really bring all these applications to integrate it as one. So I mentioned that there were sort of different ways to collaborate, share information within Office 365. So there's SharePoint, but there's also groups. So groups are more of sort of, I would say, like a team share type of site. So if you had a bit of a, maybe not a small organization, medium-sized organization, like 50 to 100 people, and I was running a project, I might want to create a group. And the nice thing about a group is that I can share a mailbox. So say we were running a project to, I don't know, run a Christmas party. And so we can, again, instead of having these long email chains of people talking and reading all these and responding back to them, you could actually just create this group room where there would be one email chain and people would all respond within it. You could also bring in, like I said, Yammer feeds, documents, that kind of thing. So for a more sort of temporary, and then calendars as well. So for a more short-term project-based type of fare, groups are really a great way to get that collaboration going. Another aspect, though, about groups that's a little different than SharePoint. So SharePoint, again, is document sharing, content management, and with it, there's a lot of permission-based. So you get to decide, okay, these people get to see this, and these people get to see that. Whereas with groups, it's a little bit more of a quicker experience. So basically, the thought is you don't have to worry about manually assigning permissions. Anyone that you invite into your group gets automatic access to all the information. So with that in mind, again, there'd be certain situations where you may not, again, the group might not be the best thing for you to use, and a SharePoint would be more acceptable. But something to keep in mind, I just thought really cool for especially like short-term projects. Another aspect, again, Office has always had a video element, but again, now Microsoft sort of integrated it more and into not only all the applications that you can actually film and capture video within PowerPoint, etc., but they've actually made it so that as you capture this video, it actually goes right into the cloud. And we all know video files are gigantic, they're ghastly to deal with. And the nice thing, though, again, by filming it, capturing it, and bringing it all to the cloud, you can do a lot of they have some basic editing software in there that you can do some basic editing. And by the video existing there in the cloud, when people access it, they're just streaming it down. There's no big sending these gigantic video files back and forth to people. And so therefore it's more optimized to share and for people in the end to actually watch it. So a great win there. And as I mentioned before, like we talked about things working well on your phone and working well on your laptop and your tablet. And again, I think the biggest thing is not just the fact that you can work on it, the fact that how you work on it has changed. Like I used to tried using PowerPoint on my phone, I think like a year ago, and I just didn't like it because it just, again, and maybe because it was small and some of the features were not the same. But I think what Microsoft has done is it's taken the approach that things need to be similar across all the devices, but they also have to customize it based on what the device is. So like I said, when you work on a tablet or phone, you're able to use your stylus or a pen, or it's a lot more functional for touching or touch screen versus per se on a laptop. So, but again, now a lot of people have touch laptops. So again, what's great is they've kind of integrated these features across the board so that the experience is consistent throughout. And on that theme, they've also taken that approach for Mac. A lot of my Mac friends, I've always made fun of them because honestly, their experience with Microsoft products in the past was not the same as PC users. But I feel like they've really picked it up in terms of how all these applications work, that they work exactly the same, they look the same, function the same on Mac as they do on PC products. And again, and they work seamlessly. So if you happen to have a team who have some people who work on Macs and you have some people who work on PCs, now we can all be friends and we can all work together. And I think that's amazing, because that definitely was not the case in the past. Now, Delve is a pretty neat feature. I have to admit, I haven't had a chance to use it yet. What Microsoft poses this as is a sort of authoring canvas. And the intent is that you sort of create a profile for yourself, and that you can put documents around yourself and videos, and you create a profile about who you are and what you like. You can attach your blog, and you basically then attach, network your profile with other people in your organization's profile. Or potentially people outside your organization who have Office 365 profiles. I kind of got the feel that this was almost like LinkedIn or Facebook, but within Office 365, which I thought was pretty cool. Again, in a smaller organization, this may not seem valuable, but maybe even for a medium to large size business, or if potentially you have a lot of customers or vendors, this might be a way to sort of learn more about them, or maybe customers learn more about them by creating a sort of profile network, especially if they are also on Office 365 and have this available to them as well. So this is definitely on my checklist of, I'm going to sort of try using Delve a little bit more. Oh yeah, so there was another feature though about Delve that I sort of noted that it seemed like I said, a LinkedIn or Facebook type application, but there's another feature in it, and I found it kind of peculiar, but a neat one nonetheless. Again, you have a cloud, you have documents all over the place. You remember, hey, I wrote this document about fish. I just can't find it anywhere. So Delve has this really neat feature within it that you can look for a document regardless of where it is across all your clouds and networks based on its name. So it has these really cool search functionalities. So I'm really hoping that Microsoft takes that functionality that's in Delve and actually integrates it elsewhere as well, because again, great thing to find if you can't remember all the names that you use for some of your documents. All right. Now, the smarts of Office 365. So this is where I think the rubber hits the road when it comes to how Office helps, especially small and medium businesses. So they've incorporated, again, Office was, people thought it was just, Word and Excel and PowerPoint, but now they've layered in all these additional features, and this back-end business intelligence application is awesome in terms of really giving businesses the opportunity to have their data analyzed and visualized in a way that they probably have never had done before. They have a lot of sort of intelligence built into their analytical software, and because it's all cloud-based, they can be accessed by anybody on your team. So it's real time, it's up there. You don't have to email this report around to everybody. It's all existing there. People go up and access it, and it has a lot of dashboards and interactive reports, so it really makes it easy to take your data as you know it today to the next level. And what does that do? Well, as a business owner, that makes it easier, hopefully, to make decisions. Because I think if you can see your data and you can see, what's working, what's not working, it'll enable you, again, to make better decisions on where to invest and how to make better decisions for your organization. Now, just to note, though, this business intelligence, some aspects of it are not included. They're additional cost above the unit price of Office 365, but that's something you can look into. But there are some features that are included, something to look into for sure. Now, again, so there's an ongoing theme, as we've talked about since the beginning, about security and protecting one's information. So as part of that whole messaging, Microsoft's created this sort of trust center. So basically, it's sort of a customer-focused area where there's sort of a dashboard where you can access tools, you can access online support, you can look for sort of controls to help you with archiving data. So sort of the back-end stuff that maybe would be more like your admin of your organization that might be into. But again, some of the stuff in the past was never really accessible to anyone. It was only your IT person who did it. But it's great that Microsoft sort of simplified it to a point that it's usable for someone, again, maybe a tech-savvy person, but again, you don't have to be a technical person to go through here and actually make some click some choices in terms of what makes sense for archiving data for your organization, possibly like data loss prevention, that kind of stuff. So, because again, they have lots of sort of very easy click checkboxes to really make decisions quickly and easily across, again, all your various users. So again, you can make it for you, but you can quickly decide, okay, you know what, we want to archive all emails for all our employees for 5 years. So you can, in really a few clicks, make that decision, and it's great. Now, just really quickly about rights management services. I'm not going to get into this into great detail because, again, it's starting to get a little bit more on the technical side. But again, under the veil of security, Microsoft's added a whole bunch of encryption to just, again, improve the security of your data. So for whether it's your spreadsheet or your PowerPoint, now you can actually, in a particular document, if you're, if there's risk involved or there's sensitive information, you can actually protect it so that there's a password or that only certain individuals with certain access can open it. So again, if you have sort of, especially financial security information, these are great features, again, within the actual applications, again, so that you know once it gets out there or placed on a cloud or placed within a group, you need to, maybe you have a document that you really don't want seen by everybody. Now, the Compliance Center basically is within that trust center that I talked about. So there's a sort of tab that you can go into, and within that trust center, there's the Compliance Center. And the Compliance Center is what allows you to, people who have, companies who have legal or regulatory requirements, like I said, archiving emails or certain documents, have to, customer files need to stay on file for 7 years, that kind of stuff. This allows you really quickly to, across your all your user base, make some decisions about how documents are stored, archived, that sort of thing. And as well, it not only connects to all your Office 365, it also connects to your Exchange and your SharePoint. So again, you go across all your applications if you need to make some decisions on how documents or maybe even you need stuff to be deleted after a certain time. Maybe it's the opposite. Instead of storing stuff, you need to make sure that stuff is deleted within certain periods. So again, this helps you, again, not having to chase people. You can make the decision with a couple of clicks. Now, with that in mind, there's also another element within the Compliance Center, which is called eDiscovery. And now the eDiscovery basically allows you to search for documents. So say you had a legal case and you needed to find some documentation to support that. eDiscovery allows you to basically go through all your documentation and look for, say it was a keyword or certain keywords. So you'll see there on the screen that there's an example of financial audit. So they're looking for documents sort of talking about financial audit. And then you'll see in the query, they're making specific words and stuff of what they're looking for. Again, for a legal perspective, much easier way than spending hours and hours going file by file trying to find the appropriate document. So for data loss prevention, it's great that they're able to help you monitor your sensitive information, so they can actually, you can actually program it so that credit cards or certain security numbers, that when they're typed within emails or within documents, that actually pop-ups will come up to your employees to notify them that they are sending sensitive information, and either note what the policy is or block that transmission. So there's some really intensive features in here to help protect, again, what information is, how information is used within your organization, in particular how it's sent outside of your organization. And on that note as well, again, this is another aspect, is the encryption. We talked a little bit about the encryption of actual documents. So from a security perspective, you want to make sure that no one gets into that Excel document unless they're on your financial team. Or in this case, this is encryption of your email. So saying you're sending your financial report, to your investors or something, you may want to encrypt the actual email. So again, this ensures that only certain individuals can actually open this email, and again, just adds an additional layer of security. So thanks for sticking with me. I know that was a lot of information, but really cool features. Now let's just jump into how this would apply to different organizations or different industries, and how, and at the end we'll also have a little case study of how Office 365 sort of helped the company and how they used it to their advantage. Let's talk about financial services, because obviously, the biggest thing I've heard about from this industry is the fact that with the business intelligence reporting, the fact that they're getting, if they're not technically savvy enough, they have all the numbers and they are using this business BI, it's called BI power. It's really giving them greater insight into their business performance, because again, it's visual. They're getting sort of more in-depth graphs and reports. It's really helping them see how they can do better, or where they are doing better and where they should be investing more. Again, all the actual layers of security really protect clients' financial information and obviously compliance. And then help improve the customer experience, because obviously you can communicate with customers better. You can have consistent policies and forms that your employees can access regardless of which location they're at. And obviously, by using these tools, you can work more efficiently and effectively, and hence reduce costs overall. So let's look at for healthcare. Now, healthcare, I think, has a lot to gain from Office 365 when it comes to collaboration. Just the very nature of healthcare, people talking about not being able to sort of share information across various different areas of healthcare. So now that we have the ability to keep documents secure, like patient reports and all the security that comes around with Office 365, and all the stuff being the cloud, now patients' reports could be online in the cloud, accessed by anyone, one report, secure. And so obviously with that, it'd make it easier to provide, a better experience for the customer or for the patients as well. You can protect the patient's data and keep up with government compliance. And obviously, you can reduce costs because you're not having all these paper reports all over the place. And obviously the opportunity of having errors and diagnosis or procedures are minimized, because again, we're having all of the documents and collaboration in one place. In terms of the retail space, again, because mainly all the efficiency gains, especially by collaborating and having everything in one place, especially for employees, documentation, HR, that kind of stuff, even store inventory, having that all in one location, and the ability that employees could even access it on their tablet while they're doing inventory. They're not doing it on a form and then having to go to a computer and type it in. All those efficiencies can really obviously improve costs. But I think as well, the customer experience, by allowing businesses to better run themselves, obviously they can provide a better customer experience. Let's jump into manufacturing. So in this space, generally most manufacturing offices, you have your manufacturing section that has their own, machines and technology, and then you have the office section that had all the computers. But so what's great is the fact that now, and then you might have on the manufacturing floor a couple computers here or there in the corner. I think what's, again, neat about the fact that Office 365 provide this experience across all these various devices is now, you don't have to have the foreman going to this little computer to enter in stuff. That they can have a tablet with them at all times, and as they go about their business on the manufacturing floor, they could be entering in stuff real time onto their tablet, which then can be seen by the office staff for whatever's needed. So again, just that sort of seamless opportunity, I think, really gives manufacturing businesses an edge when using Office 365. And then definitely you can get better reporting, which in turn, obviously would make it better. You can make better decisions in terms of how you invest and where you restaurants, you have hotels, you have many different sort of fields within hospitality. But I think the opportunity because you have people in many different locations, often many restaurants or hotels, the fact that you can collaborate and have a SharePoint and employee documentation all in one place, and the fact that we have seen them use Office 365 for franchises. Again, because you have to share information with many different people across many different locations, the Office 365 really helps you do that at low cost and, again, in a consistent real-time way. Now, for law firms, the fact that you can automate a lot of this data capture. I know in a lot of law offices, there's a lot of files and a lot of paperwork, and the fact that a lot of this stuff can be captured right, as they're talking to the client right into their tablet, and then their file could all be, again, on a cloud and shared across various coworkers. And the fact that, you could start working on the customer file at the office. You don't have to put it on a USB, or, and again, for security, what if you lose that USB file? The fact that you save it to the cloud, well, it's just automatically saved to the cloud, and then you go home and then you can access that file and keep working on it. So that type of accessibility, and again, the security, the fact that the document is secure in the cloud in one place, and obviously improved because of all this different type of documentation legal offices tend to go through. The fact that there's all these different tools for organization, whether it's a SharePoint, whether it's groups, so the opportunity to sort of gather and sort all this documents in different ways. And then the other aspect, though, I'm going to bring up is the archiving. In particular, in this type of industry, you have lots of data that needs to be retained for long periods of time. So, with that compliance center, a few clicks, you can go in and ensure that documents, emails, all that kind of stuff is being stored for the appropriate amount of time. All right, almost with me. We're almost done. Just a few more. So benefits for contractors. So obviously they can manage their resources and logistics and budgets all online, especially the group function, because you have a calendar, you can invite some people into your group, your various vendors and suppliers. Because Yammer is attached to that, then you can text people and everything is sort of gathered in that group screen, so that maybe your project manager can actually see it and manage it all real time. And then whoever is out on site can access it from their phone. So again, there's some great seamless activity as stuff is happening on site as well as in the office. So let's talk a little bit about this, how Office 365 actually has helped an organization. So the Grahams is a dairy from Scotland, and they have about 500 employees. And they went through a sort of branding, they've been around for 75 years, and they went through a major branding exercise in 2008, I believe. And as they were doing that, they started realizing that they needed to change their company and evolve. So as part of that evolution, they finally came to a place in the last few years that they decided to go to Office 365. And so since they've been on Office 365, what they've really noticed, the leadership team's noticed this improvement on definitely the systems of how processes work within their organization are much smoother, because again, there's one document that people are running off of. Another aspect they mentioned was the fact that the security and reliability of how all their systems and technology run has increased tenfold. Again, because now all the servers exist on Microsoft side, you have to worry about servers crashing and having to bring people in to fix them and all that jazz. They've also noted, again, the BI, or the business intelligence reporting feature, really helped them enhance how they make decisions, because they were now able to see real time their business performance. So in the past, I guess they were, someone would gather the data, and at the end of the week, they would do it in Excel, and then they would send out a report, and then the next week they would review. And again, so not real time at all. The fact that now data is being entered in the moment, and that the leaders are actually looking at it on their tablet that day, they can make decisions as it's happening. And so it's definitely made some great improvements into their business. Another element they noted, though, it's an aspect of their business, is the fact that they've improved their communications immensely, especially since they've now implemented a SharePoint. So part of their business is they communicate with farmers all over the country, and so part of that communication was processes, how people sell, bring in their milk and that kind of stuff. So now with having a SharePoint and granting access to all these farmers, they are able to go share documents, news, updates, that kind of thing, so that they know that their farmers are up to date with exactly what they want and changes and that kind of thing. And another aspect they did mention was the fact that the system helped them boost their collaboration across their various offices and operations, and that overall, though, it's helped them grow their business and made them bigger and more competitive, and able to compete on a more international scale. So I think that's a great success story, and that's really just by implementing a software program. So I hope, there's a lot of information there, but I hope that gave you a pretty good insight into all the good of Office 365 and really how I think it's definitely the evolution of how businesses are going to be running in the future. Okay, well, we will be having a recording of this after the fact, and you can definitely submit questions to us in the future, or as well any feedback if you would like to see any other topics for future webinars. So thanks for listening, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.